the issue of Biafran separation. That's not my interest in talking about this whatsoever, but it is an indictment of the tyrannical lawlessness of this administration. Here's the facts. First of all, even Nigerian courts have said that branding of IPOB as a terrorist group is bogus. There was never any due process. It was just a proclamation, and there's no evidence to support it. The United States doesn't accept that. I don't believe any country outside of the cadre in Abuja actually believe that it's a terrorist group. They did that.
No other country has prescribed IPOB apart from Nigerian government. Far, though.
And so it's, first of all, it's clearly an effort to silence them. Second, Nnamdi Kanu carries a British passport as well. He's a British citizen as well as a Nigerian citizen. He was broadcasting from London. Never once, and it was challenged in court over and over again, there was never once any act of violence that is traced to any word that he spoke. Not once. There's not one act of violence that they can say came about as what he said. He spoke on foreign soil. And then he went to Kenya, does not have an extradition treaty with Nigeria. He was abducted, tortured, and illegally rendered to Nigeria. The Kenyan government said it was illegal, and they protested. The international community has protested. So, they come up with a bogus label of terrorist that nobody agrees with. They grab him for saying words on foreign soil that were not traced to any violence, and then they illegally render him back. They put him on trial under a law that had been repealed. His attorney kept saying, "Your Honor, what is the law? Show me the law. What are you being prosecuting for?" It does not exist. There is no law under which he was prosecuted. The old law, there was no continuation clause. There was zero legal basis for his prosecution. And then he was found guilty of what? Violating what? Simply offending the government is what he...
No, they said most of the things he said ignited violence and led to the death of
never proved
security agencies and individuals and
arson. That is called tyranny. When you can grab somebody out of another land, and you can condemn them for words they said that you don't agree with, even though they're not against the law. And you can sentence that person to life in prison and transfer them to Sokoto, 700 miles from the people that were feeding them, taking care of them, 700 miles from the appeals court. Sokoto, it's throwing them in a dungeon. They grabbed a guy because they didn't like his words with no law, with no legal basis. They illegally grabbed him, a foreign citizen on foreign soil, and they throw him in a dungeon in Sokoto. That's tyranny. I don't care what tribe he's in. I don't care what he was advocating. That's tyranny. That's evil. And it's an indictment of this government. The fact that he's still in prison illegally is tyranny. That is tyranny. There is no legal justification for it. They never made the case. They never showed what law they were prosecuting. The government didn't like him, and they threw him in a dungeon, just like they did with the Israeli filmmakers.
Why do you think the government may not have liked him? Because many would say, some people who believe in him call him the prophet of their time, because most of the things he warned about the massacre of the people of Nigeria are today, the reality of most of these indigenous Nigerians. But so many would say that, is there anything he actually did speak about that hasn't come true? So what exactly is his crime? But why do you think the Nigerian government did not like him enough to ensure that he was duly persecuted?
Well, I'll talk about it in terms of physics. There's no such thing as darkness. It doesn't exist. It's the absence of light. They operate in darkness. They're evil people operating in darkness, and he was shining the light. He was speaking the truth, but they say he was just teaching history. He was just pointing out the obvious about the Constitution, about the founding of Nigeria, about the whole British machinery that they put in motion. That's what he was doing. And that's a threat to the powers that be, because it's the truth. And they can't stand the truth. They can't live in the light.
A lot of people does not know what is actually going on. That Nnamdi Kanu has never stand alone and will never stand alone. The IPOB leader himself, the supreme leader himself, the man and only the command and control of all the structures of Biafra all over the world. Of course, we know that the world is watching. Like I always say, unfortunately for Nigeria, they will continue to somersault and lose the direction of purpose concerning the position of reality in Nigeria. I said it very clearly that the whole world is watching, and there's this kind of a synergy between the United States of America and the Israeli government, considering the fact of what is spreading all over the world. today, and we were not surprised that Benjamin Netanyahu sent a direct message to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, telling him that he is not alone. And also, he make a very interesting Christmas package for Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. We might not be able to know the details of what that visit was all about, although it was actually a private visit, and certain talks were being carried out in a closed-door meeting, a closed-door discussion took place, and after that closed-door meeting, we saw a national broadcast by, Benjamin Netanyahu on the surrounding issues trending, happening currently in Nigeria. Apart from the explosion that took place in the northern part of the country, a lot of people are saying, how come that explosion actually take place in the northern part of the country within the Xmas, the heat of Xmas, a period, that it might be a kind of manipulation, just to, portray some certain narrative about the issue of genocide, and of course the issue of Christian Muslim killings that is going on in Nigeria. And of course that was the angle the Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, actually came from. And I think he made it very clearly, although you can watch it, as you watch on this video, you understand the tone of his language. And America have continued to say it very clearly, that United States of America is a Christian nation. Biafra is a Christian nation.
But if I may ask this
Israel is a Christian nation. Yes.
Some people have argued that this is American intervention and this global dimension Nigerian situation have taken. There is a blessing for Biafra in disguise that Biafra will achieve in the midst of
okay, a lot of things are unfolding. We will not be able to put everything on the papers. And there's the Israeli support. And remember, and when Mazen Nnamdi Kanu entered Israel and was spotted at the Wailing Wall, at the Temple of Solomon there, you know what it takes to be able to cross the security structures before you get to the Wailing Wall. These are where powerful men all over the world visit. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was there, and immediately he escaped the assassination attempt by the federal government. He was there, and he was acknowledged in Israel. And the Likud party members are fully supporting, backing, making it very clearly that the Biafra is like Israel. That's what I've been saying. And IPOB members there has been on consultation on daily basis, and the Israeli government have continued to show solidarity to Biafrans. And we understand the Middle East crisis, we understand the American factor, we understand that a time will come, a certain decision will be made. But if you listen to Benjamin Netanyahu speeches on daily basis, he said very clearly that his aim is to protect Jews all over the world. And we have been identified as being part and head of the Jewish ancestry. Nobody's going to take that away, and that is a fact. So we have Ethiopian Jews and other. We have, if you go to Uganda, you have them. If you go to Mali, you have them. They are just scattered all over the world, and the Israeli government knows about it. So, but the most significant thing currently is that the world has come to acknowledge the pains of establishing, or the gain of establishing, a Christian nation in West Africa, especially the agitation for Biafra. Biafra, of course, is going to be a Christian nation. There's no doubt about that.
Okay, now let me take you to this angle, because the whole media was awash about American surveillance aircraft hovering over Nigerian airspace. Remember that Alimo was in Nigeria for a fact-finding mission, and shortly after he left Nigeria, we started seeing American surveillance aircraft hovering over the whole of Nigeria. It means Trump have finally come to Nigeria to save the oppressed.
I think that when acknowledged, yes, it was reported there was a U.S. surveillance plane. They are marking out strategies on what to do at the end of the day. But you can see that action has been resisted by the core northern Fulanis. They said they do not want American presence in Nigeria, and the conditions they are not ready to abide. They cannot ban Sharia. They cannot go against the Sokoto Caliphate. So that is a direct signal that if there is an official statement that there's going to be a military. Yes, what is holding whether the federal government has succeeded in compromising the United States of America to take a soft landing on the already decided issue on Nigeria. That is their business. But that does not stop America, because America has gotten the legislation to carry out a military attack on Nigeria. So that can be done at any time. You know, logistics-wise, they have been conducting surveillance. And it is being reported too, you know, that they are already hitting some targets. You know, but I am sure it was not part of the explosion, suicide mission that took place in that America. I'm not sure that America is part of it. But what we are saying is that, you know, we are looking at, you know, what the Israeli government is saying for the first time. This is the first time they are coming up boldly to talk about Biafra, to talk about the need to establish, to protect Christians in Nigeria. How do you not protect Christians in Nigeria? You protect Christians in Nigeria by showing solidarity, by declaring, by giving sovereignty to Biafra as a refuge, as a point, you know, to stand out or to stop the infiltration under one Nigeria, and where millions of Nigerians are dying because of one Nigeria. Because a Fulani man cannot come to Biafra land.
So for what you're saying, it implies that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has risen in support of Biafra.
Powerful statement coming from you in that regard, and that's the clear picture that the Israeli government has actually received. You know, see, the triumph of Nnamdi Kanu is a blessing in disguise. Yes, I agree. The guy has actually went through a lot, you know, and God is going to protect him to see the end of this struggle to be very, very positive, because the consciousness, the world is reawakening to the reality in Nigeria. But what are they going to do is that the middle belters are dying too. The Christians in the north are dying too. And there's this understanding, you know, that the 19 states in the north are purely a northern thing, a Muslim thing, a Fulani thing. So what is going to happen at the end of the day? So if one Nigeria can be an avenue whereby people can infiltrate other regions, disrupt economic activities, and take away, disallive millions, then we need to have a rethink. As a result of religion, they cannot ban Sharia. They cannot. Everything about them is Islam. What is the meaning of Islam? Islam means conquer, surrender. And the only obstacle they are seeing now are the Igbo people. The reason why they moved Nnamdi Kanu to Sokoto is not just ordinary. And a lot of people are asking, why do they want to ignite this battle? The Fulanis cannot be able to, conquer. They transfer it to Southwesterners, to the Yorubas, and all of a sudden, the Yorubas have declared war. Because sentencing of Nnamdi Kanu is, you are directly pointing at the eyes of the Igbo nation. And remember what Yusuf said very clearly. He said he is even scared. He do not know that Nigeria should be careful. The federal government should actually think deep, because the Igbo nation is not talking. We have gone beyond that. What we are seeking is a global declaration and understanding on the plight of Nigeria. If the United Nations cannot be able to go and perform their fundamental aims and aims of our objectives on conflict resolution, let the whole world, let the world leaders invoke executive orders. Let the United Nations invoke executive order and proclaim Biafra a sovereign nation to stop this killing. Because they have virtually infiltrated all the structures of government. They are in the army, they are in the police, they are in the civil service, they are in the political class. They are just everywhere. And the aim and objective is to make sure that they take over the land that belongs to Biafrans. And that is what it is today. I want to say a big congratulations to Nnamdi Kanu, because the world have had him. If Israeli government can come out and make a statement, that the Igbo nation, that the Igbo people are more better off in Biafra than in Nigeria. Then
now let me take you up from there. The Igbo nation are more better off in Biafra than being in Nigeria. It's because it has become a slogan. And this is coming from the man everybody's waiting to hear from.
Sure.
Benjamin Netanyahu. How does it come to you?
Yes, I think for a very long time he has been watching development in Israel, and a lot of write-ups and petitions, have been submitted to the Likud members. Most of the Likud members, you might not be able to tell you, like the one I'm talking about, who is also a former lobbyist of Benjamin Netanyahu, Naftali. If I can get his name, Naftali, or you understand, he's a sympathizer of the Biafran nation. And I can mention number of Likud members in Israeli government who are sympathizers, who has identified the cause of Biafra solidarity, even in government of Benjamin Netanyahu, and that's the fact. So what we are saying at this point is that if the government it looks like the Israeli government, Israel is the most powerful nation in the world now. And they're taking down all fronts, trying to make sure that the Christian community are being protected, even though they are massively being attacked. But you can see Benjamin stood for, and he has repeatedly said it, that one country, an enemy nation, which is Iran, are behind the sponsorship of terrorism all over the world, including Nigeria, where you have the Shiites and the Sunnis, and in Nigeria we have them too.
No, it's a known fact that the Iran sponsors Shiites. Even I can remember vividly under Muhammad Buhari when El-Zazaki was arrested, it was reported that the Iranian president have called Buhari severally, seeking to seek diplomatic means to get El-Zazaki out of captivity.
It will be a big surprise now, because the world has seen that the entire Igbo nation are being oppressed, suppressed, and marginalized. And politically, they were nowhere to write off. And they have also merited, and they are more qualified to ask for their own freedom and sovereignty, and which the world is listening now. See, let me tell you, they might not be able to tell you that there was a time, Mossad, when they told you that Mossad is in Nigeria, you remember that when Sheikh Gumi raised an alarm that Mossad has entered Nigeria, people do not understand what it means. I think I made a report on that, signaling something. Everything is being documented now. That's what they are going to use at any point in time if there's any further resistance to stop Biafra from being a sovereign nation. The Israeli government, and of course, in synergy with the US government, have a lot to do in that regard.
What you're saying is that Mossad agents are ready to work in collaboration with Biafra struggle.
Of course, I'm not the one that said it. Gumi alerted the world that they are in Nigeria. And people overlook it. This is how they told Nigeria years back. There's this gathering in the north. That's going to be the dome of terrorists in the near future. The Nigerian government ignored it. I think in 2015 or thereabout. That statement was issued by CIA. But the Nigerian government today, what are we facing? So they are here, and they are making sure that the things are being guided properly. I'm telling you, there's no two ways about it. The Israeli government have already located their presence from Nigeria completely, because the vice president of Nigeria went to the United Nations General Assembly and backed Hamas. Tinubu backed Hamas. And anybody that's backing Hamas anywhere in the world cannot stand the presence of Israel anywhere they enter. It is an international policy in Israeli government to make sure that they protect and they find any terrorist anywhere in the world, wherever you are. And one of the reasons why we are rejoicing today is that they have now gotten the interest. The Israeli government are now interested. And once the Israeli government are now interested in something, they don't just back out. They see to the end of it. And what they are telling Nigeria at this point, and of course the world, that is the massive solidarity for Biafra restoration. And I can tell you that in honest truth.
Finally on this, if there's any piece of advice you have for the man and the Kanu, what would that advice be?
I want to say a celebration, of course. That's a very heartwarming message coming from the Israeli president to the IPOB leader. It means that the Israeli government actually recognized the battle Nnamdi Kanu is facing. And that message was directly given to him. Nigeria must break. That's my message. We cannot continue in this calamity. That is a simple thing. Those who feel that they can govern themselves, let them go and govern themselves with their own law and whatever, as simple as that. It is not a must. The British had run away. The British are no longer interested in anything that has to do with Nigeria. They are battling Kestama to leave. Go and watch them. They are going to fail, all of them that stood up against Israel in United Nations General Assembly. And I can tell you that. That's one of the things Jonathan is being celebrated till tomorrow, because under Jonathan, they wanted Jonathan to do the same thing. Jonathan refused. And that's why they removed him from office. And today, the world not facing threat from Islamists all over the world. And there is a political and economic aspect of it. Why Israel and America are backing Biafra, because they will need an ally in West Africa, a Christian nation in West Africa.
So it means it has been revealed why Israel and America is backing Biafra, because they need an ally in West Africa.
Simple! Of course.
And you think Biafra will play that role?
1 million times! Bro, Nnamdi Kanu is a visionary. And he told you, if you want all our rallies, all the IPOB rallies, all the Biafra rallies and all that, you can only see two sensitive flags there. The Israeli flag and the American flag. And that is what our ideology is all about. And that is what we represent.
So it means keeping Nnamdi Kanu is keeping a diplomat, a war diplomat in castration.
Nnamdi Kanu has become a global phenomenon. Nnamdi Kanu has become a reference point. The world leaders today, reference him. Anything they say, they want to celebrate him. Nnamdi Kanu has become law and order in a religion that has to do with Biafra, a Christian nation, and he has made that standard of the United Nations, non-violent movement. He has maintained that. And Nnamdi Kanu has never used any arms against any structure of the Nigerian government.
So in a nutshell, what you are saying is that the Biafra as a nation is a dependable ally that America will be assured.
Now, for you?
Israel will be assured.
Now, for you till tomorrow? There's a reason why the British government is already backing out.
Okay, tell us more.
There's a reason why the British government is already backing out. Okay, they are the one that said after 100 years we can go our separate ways if this unity is no longer working.
So we must lash on to that 100 years to achieve it.
That's what Jonathan wanted to do, to reunite Nigeria, but unfortunately they didn't allow that to happen. So I can tell you, Britain, with what they are experiencing now, can never support anything that has to do with Islamists as a religion. So on that angle now, considering the enormous resources now, we are going to use it to develop, to support our ally. Biafra can never stand alone. Biafra is going to associate himself with other world allies like America, Israel, and other nations who sympathizes with civilization and the reality of human existence. And that's what Biafra stands for. And that's what they will stand for tomorrow. So, both politically and economically, give us a few years from now on declaration. What we were thinking, we did not need United Nations referendum. We don't need Nigeria referendum. What we need is the veto power of the United States of America to carry out an executive order and proclamation that from now on, that Biafra is a sovereign nation. Then any other territory that's outside Biafra that want to join should be given referendum. That is all, and that's what they...
No, definitely America have overriding power over UN General Assembly voting, but I think at the first instance, they need to make a proclamation that will subject to voting. After the voting,
let me tell you,
that they can veto if it didn't go their way.
When they moved the Israeli capital to Jerusalem, how did they do it?
No, there was a voting. When the voting did not go their way,
they've already done that. They've already done that. Ralimo said it very clearly, and Haggett said, the Department of said it very clearly. Ted Cruz said it very clearly. So many of them has come out to take a stand. And not Mike said it very clearly. Bro, with what was given to Donald Trump, everything was given him with options. And what are the options? Disintegration of Nigeria is one of the options to save Christians in Nigeria. I quote me.
I think we wait as a panda because for what I understand, the Trump administration is ready to collaborate with Nigeria to end terrorism in Nigeria.
You see, that's what I'm saying, that this thing should not be half-baked. It should be decisively done. It is not a must that Nigeria must be in unity, because they will regroup again. Look at what is happening in the Middle East. After a small space or whatever, you see them regrouping again. After a small space and another, but you see them regrouping again. So the best thing is that since they are insisting on Sharia insisting on Sokoto Caliphate. Give them their. I told you. Now, from Boko Haram to bandits, from bandits to freedom fighters.
So what we are saying in essence is give Fulani their Sharia and
their own country.
No, I'm coming. What you are saying is
simple.
What you are saying is give Fulani their Sharia, their Hizbah, and allow Biafra to go.
Simple. That's the only way to stop this infiltration and killing. Because you cannot see a Fulani man in the eastern part of the country of Biafran land and you try to stop him. He will tell you it's one Nigeria. You do not have right to stop him. You see the game now. And then people have already started saying now that they are no longer bandits, they are no longer Boko Haram, they are not ISWAP, they are not IC, they are nothing. No, they are freedom fighters. Mighty Allah issued that statement that Bola Ahmed Tinubu should be careful any moment from now. Now they should not address those people as terrorists. They are freedom fighters. You can see.
But Tinubu have come out clearly recently to say that if you bear gun, even if you are a Fulani husband, that if you bear gun, you are a terrorist.
Bros, they challenge him. They challenge him. The only group that is not a terrorist organization is the IPOB because they do not bear arms.
But if I may ask, do you support Tinubu when he say if you bear
I do not. I will not support.
Even
Tinubu.
if you are,
I will not support Tinubu because
no declaring.
If you are declaring, has it gone through legislation? There was no legislation. There was no legality in it. Nothing is backing it up. What is backing it up? What is backing the statement up? Nothing.
It looked like an order to the security agencies.
Right, let me tell you, it's not an order thing. It's just a mandatory to calm the northern structure down because they knew him too is part of the system.
But what do you make of his promise, or rather his position that he had promised Donald Trump, he had promised his
okay, let him go to the United Nations and reverse
to bring about
somebody that is telling you that let him go to the United Nations and reverse the statement Nigeria made here concerning terrorist attacks on Israel. Until he still has done that, they will be able to acknowledge his real stand on the issue of terrorism in Nigeria and killing of Christians in Nigeria.
Okay, for you, that is the genesis of the whole issue in Nigeria.
Of course, 100%. Because there's an opening door for them. That's a good handshake for them, to infiltrate anywhere. And since then, they have infiltrated more other communities than ever.
But this is what I must say very big thank you for your time. We hope to have you next time.
Thank you.
But this is a developing story.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.